Testing. Okay. Our first stop is the Sail, Power, and Steam Museum. Our next stop is the Sail, Power, and Steam Museum. Now we are at the Sail, Power, and Steam Museum. Oh yeah.
Yeah, safe harbor. I didn't know that 5% only. So you're only eating the. They had that regulation. Symmetrical. This depicts a great deal of age in this one gale of wind, November 1898. 400 ships.
You gotta smell yourself.
This exhibit is on lobsters and lobster traps. So the sign over there says that people are not sure if lobsters feel pain, and also they're pretty social creatures. Now, for the lobster trap, there was a video in the front that said that they're only 5% effective, which means the lobsters can easily go in, eat, and come out, and really only the stupid ones who decide to stay will end up getting eaten.
What about that?
Huh?
The milk pack.
In some parts of Maine, you're able to own 800 traps per person, which means you can get so much money from collecting lobsters. And you're required to have this small trap vent to allow the small lobsters to escape.
And how much each one costs on average?
Okay. Each one costs $60 to $100.
So when we first arrived, when we first arrived in Maine, we thought those were popsicles, but those are actually buoy-like things where you put above the water so that you know that that's your trap, and it has a rope attached to it so you can bring the lobster trap up.
Being in the limelight, when somebody says you're in the limelight, boat is called Persistence, and that's the original lobster boat. That's called a French.
Noli, hold the railing.
There you go.
It's not that hard. See?
Wow, this is steep. Oh dear. Oh,
Oh, look, it's
okay.
passing.
Right now? Yeah.
You're floating. You want to come on the boat?
Okay. Wait, no, this is fun.
Look,
Yeah.
it's passing.
Go.
The museum runs The museum runs a free program for kids who normally wouldn't have the opportunity to go out and sail. And these are sailboats. The program is called Skiff, so during the weekdays, kids can do that. Also, right now, look how high the platform up there is. This is very low tide, and I kind of know the general low and high tides right now because we were just in Bar Harbor, where that was a big deal about the land bridge. So I know this is low tide, and probably at around like sometime in the afternoon it will be high tide. And when that happens, I wonder how high the water will rise.
She music and not food. Such good food.
Start walking forward. I'll take it forward.
Okay, I'm gonna take a moo cow. Okay, I'll go in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your picture.
Sit down by the wheel.
1, 2, 3, cheese. Up, we do 1, 2, 3.
Steer from. So a yawl would have one here, and a sloop, a yawl, and a catch. And a catch would have a.
1, 2, 3, cheese. Forward. Scoot over. Good one. All right, look again. 1, 2, 3. Smile. And one more. 1, 2, 3.
Okay. This is a Muscongas Bay sloop because Muscongas Bay is 10 or 15 miles from here, and a sloop has one mast. A schooner, which I've heard of before, is a boat with multiple masts, but one is bigger than all the others. And this here is a sheet which is used to control the mast, right? Wait, so why couldn't we do sailing? Less steep thing. Oh dear. That's so steep.
So where are you heading next? You're going to Camden.
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
we've had so much crappy weather.
Testing. Okay. This is the Foucault pendulum, which is the only one in the state of Maine, and the museum built this themselves because the ones that we see in California are way more expensive, and it's made of lead.
When you buy the pendulum going back and forth, well, our pendulum is
She'll take you guys.
Oh, okay, thank you.
an inexpensive model, and we have to restart it about every 3 hours, or it loses its energy. This enormous pendulum going back and forth. All these Frenchmen are very mesmerized by it, you know, how it was doing that, but they couldn't figure out why it was moving off to the eastern. They had theories back in those days about the Earth turning on its axis, but they didn't know.
So this is how they proved it.
This proves it. This proves it. And that's the phenomenon of a Foucault pendulum. Leon Foucault was go pendulum, but he also understood Coriolis forces. You know what Coriolis forces are?
It's something about rotation, right?
Something about rotation. It
That's not
creates clockwise weather systems and currents in the North Atlantic. Clockwise, you know, the Gulf Stream and that kind of, that's all clockwise. And in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. It's the other direction.
For the wind? Or
Counterclockwise.
it's for the wind or the...
It's from the rotation of the Earth, and yes, the rotation, the centrifugal force creates this. Did you notice this picture here? This is Rockland Harbor in 1898. Boston, Philadelphia, they discovered roads, they discovered steam engine that changed the whole world. But back in these days, sailing vessels were the only way to get around without roads. And
Looks cool.
we had all these vessels are loaded with their cargo, ready to go all over the world, but they didn't sail. And here, the fog is just lifting, and they're all putting their sails up at the same time and going off to deliver their cargo. But But that's how busy this harbor was back in those days. Incredible number of shipping. Around here in Owl's Head, right down the number of vessels coming in. So in 1893, he counted all the vessels coming in. There were 6,000 sailing vessels that one year, and 3,000 steamboats. And that was just when he was awake.
Did the sailboats cost a lot back then? I mean, or was it something that,
Everything cost a lot, and it wasn't very much in our money because, of course, in 15 years, or 60, 80 years, but it was lost in Rockland, Maine.
So most people moved out. This is a picture of Rockland in the late 1800s, and at that time, it was the United States, right? It was the United States' fourth largest seaport. So this was larger than Boston and New York. And it seems like nowadays it's a lot less busy. Up?
Is it up or down? I think it's up.
up or down?
Oh, down? Oh, down, yeah. Okay. And then?
Now we'll turn this valve.
Oh, there we go. That's cool.
Help them turn off.
Had this much.
Okay.
When we first opened the museum.
All right, go.
So the way this museum came to be is that first Captain Jim had a smaller museum with just his stuff, and then the people that he gave tours to were intrigued, and they realized that in their garages or grandparents' garages there were artifacts there. So then they brought in those artifacts, and it became a larger museum. If you come here, you should definitely talk to Captain Jim. A Google review said he's like 89 years old, and he still has great stories to tell. Very fun to talk to. We'll be back in 2 days because right now it's the weekend, and on the weekdays they have the sailing lessons for kids.